Hi viewers, welcome back. My name is Adeola Fayon. We're still on election coverage, and right now we want to move a little bit to Togo before we come back to Nigeria again, because right now the people of Togo are presently casting their votes to determine who their next president will be for the next 5 years. A major candidate that is running again is the present president, incumbent President Farida Nabourema, who has been in power for the past 10 years, and his father was also in power for 38 years. Also, the main opposition candidate is John Pierre Fabre, who is an economist and a former editor of a newspaper, as well as a former professor. And to talk to us about what's going on ground in Togo today is Farida Nabourema, who is a Togolese blogger as well as an activist. Farida, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you, Adeola. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so obviously you're here in the US, but we know that you've been monitoring the election very closely in Togo. Can you tell us what's happening on ground right now?
Well, today the people of Togo, as you said, are casting their votes to elect the next president. If things go well, in the next few days, we should know who the Togolese people have chosen. And by if things go well, I try to say that if there is no attempt to rig or fraud elections, and if things are done in a transparent way. The process has started this morning at 7 a.m. GMT, and it should end in about 2 hours at 4 p.m. GMT.
What's the turnout like? Are there a lot of people out there voting? Are people afraid of violence breaking out?
According to the journalists and friends on the ground, a lot of people didn't come out as expected, and this is caused by the fact that in the opposition there was two sides: those who believe that we shouldn't go to elections as long as we don't get political reforms to assure that we will have a transparent ballot, and then the other part who believe that they can find a consensus, and that is why we have a pretty low turnout today compared to the previous elections.
I see. Do you mind telling us a bit about the status of the referendum? We know that before the elections, the opposition had tried to persuade Mr. President to sign the referendum, which means he would have to stick with just two-term limit instead of him having to run for the third term. Whatever happened to that?
Well, it was a series of reforms that were launched in the opposition after the ruling party in 2006 signed a political memorandum together with the opposition in order to proceed to some political reforms that will implement democracy and transparency in Togo. And these involve limiting the terms to 2, because in the former constitution of Togo that was voted by the people in a referendum by over 95%, the terms were limited to 2. But unfortunately, in 2003, the father of the current incumbent for Nyasimbe, Adema Nyasimbe, who died in 2005, succeeded at changing the constitution unilaterally in 2003 and removed the term limits. So the term limit is one of the points of these political reforms, including the removal of the army from the political arena, because the Togolese army is extremely involved into politics, and they have been the reason why so many violence have occurred during the past elections. But unfortunately, despite the cry of the opposition and the people, despite the numerous protests, the regime remains stubborn, and they refuse to pass the political reforms, and the president, of course, refused to sign an agreement into implementing such reforms.
Wow. Okay, so what can you tell us about the opposition candidate?
Jean-Pierre Fabre, he rose to the political arena. Well, he has been involved in Togolese politics for over 20 years, but he became quite a phenomenal figure in 2010 when Jean-Pierre Olympio, the former president of the son of the first president of Togo, who was pretty much the main opposition figure for a long time, couldn't run for presidency, and then decided to ally himself with the regime. The alliance between Jean-Pierre Olympio and the Nyasimbe was a slap in the face of several Togolese people, and Jean-Pierre Fabre became the leader of the new movement, of the new opposition.
I see. He seems really popular among the people. Can you tell us why a lot of people sort of prefer him to the incumbent president?
For so many reasons. The first reason is that he has been among the people who have been fighting this regime for a long time, who have been calling for change, who have been calling for reforms, and they have been successful at obtaining some changes. That is why people love him. In addition to that, he has a better background than the president of Togo, who after graduating from university was appointed as minister by his father as his first job. So he has a better background, and he has also been the one who has organized weekly protests for the past 5 years, every single week, and that's made him a people person. The fact that he protests together with the people on the ground, he goes to villages, he works with people, he talks to people, it's made him a more humane person, someone who is down to earth, and that is why a lot of people follow him and prefer him to the current president.
I see. So I know that ECOWAS has sent about 100 election monitors to Togo to monitor what's happening today. Among them is Dr. Amos Sawyer, former president of Liberia. Do you have confidence in election monitors paying attention to what's going on, or do you think that the president could use his influence in this election?
I strongly believe that he will use his influence. It's not the first time that international organizations such as ECOWAS, the European Union, or even the United Nations have sent observers to Togo. In past elections, we even have way more than that. But unfortunately, that did not stop the regime from rigging the elections. So I don't think these observers will make any difference, because most of the time where they place them in centers where no problem occurs. And these observers only watch people vote. They do not take part in making sure that all the results are accurately transcribed. So I don't trust them. Not that I don't trust that they are honest, but I don't trust that they are efficient.
I see. Okay, so the present president has been there for 10 years. His father was president for 38 years. That is 48 years under one family. And Togo itself is 55 years old. But actually on Monday, you guys will celebrate your 55th independence anniversary. So, and I know you've only had 5 presidents in the 55 years, and this family has been in power for 48 years. Can you describe the present administration, how his tenure has been for the last 10 years?
Just 2 days ago, Thursday to be precise, the World Happiness Report was published, and Togo was ranked the last one on the list, which means that for the past 5 years, Togo has been the most miserable country in the world 4 times consecutively. That shows how great the regime is. The Togolese people are absolutely miserable. Poverty is on the rise. Even though they talk about economic growth, the economic growth is only felt among the elite, among the rich, and over 60% of the people are still living under $2 a day, which is extremely sad. And as I'm speaking to you right now, the schools in Togo have been closed for a month. Why? Because they believe it's because of the elections, but the teachers have been protesting for so long and have been striking together with other government officials, and they have been closing our schools. Our younger brothers and sisters, our children are not attending school because these governments cannot afford to pay their teachers. And this year alone, the students have missed over 2 months of school in the 9-month school year. That's how sad it is. And the hospitals of Togo are not functioning. Medical doctors are striking. They are not working. And I've heard that a few months ago when they striked, over 21 babies died because there was no one to attend to them in the hospital. That's how sad the Togo situation is. In addition to that, for the past 5, if I should kind of like try to talk about the past 5 years of Simbe reign, we've had the 2 largest markets of Togo that were totally destroyed, and that caused over $20 billion dollars loss, and a lot of women lost their income, and over 10,000 jobs were destroyed without any being created to replace this. In addition to that, you have we have been through a lot of crises in terms of social crises. We have strikes here and there popping in and out. We have people calling for better living conditions. We've had so many protests. So we cannot say that this regime has been good to the people of Togo. A president who has his nation being considered the most miserable one in the world is a proof that he is a failure.
Wow, sounds like you would rather have him leave and somebody else come in. And that leads to my very last question. Absolutely. What are your expectations of whoever wins this election? What are you hoping would change in Togo?
I want to see a better Togo. I want to see a Togo in which the resources are equally shared among the people. I want to see a Togo that in which justice reigns, because we have a lot of impunity in Togo. People who have power, who think they can oppress others, who think they can kill people freely without having any justice. I want to see a Togo that is free from any foreign oppression, that is free from any foreign domination. As I'm talking to you now, foreigners in terms of international power, such as France, control the largest part of our economy. All our natural resources has been pretty much sold to them. They control the ports, mines, iron, as well as other many resources that we have. So I want to see a Togo where the Togolese people can enjoy their resources, where they can be proud to be citizens of Togo, and where they can feel peace and security. Because as I'm speaking to you now, the people of Togo are extremely miserable, and I just want them to pursue happiness, just like the citizens of America and everywhere else.
Thank you so much, Farida. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Adeola. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you to the team of SaharaTV.
Sure, we wish the people of Togo the very best. All right, viewers, that has been Farida Nabourema, a Togolese blogger and activist, talking about the election ongoing right now in Togo. Stay tuned, we have much more to come.